Tonight, we continue our journey through Wonderland. Alice has grown, shrunk, and grown again, and the forest is waiting. You are listening to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Episode 2, Chapters 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4. The rabbit sends in a little bill. It was the white rabbit, trotting slowly back again, and looking anxiously about as it went, as if it had lost something. And she heard it muttering to itself, "The Duchess, the Duchess, oh my dear paws, oh my fur and whiskers. She'll get me executed, as sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where can I have dropped them, I wonder?" Alice guessed in a moment that it was looking for the fan and the pair of white kid gloves, but they were nowhere to be seen. Very soon the rabbit noticed Alice and called out in an angry voice, "Why, Mary Ann, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now!" And Alice was so much frightened that she ran off at once, without trying to explain the mistake it had made. "He took me for his housemaid," she said softly to herself as she ran. "How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am." Soon she came upon a neat little house, and on the door of it was a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs, in great fear lest she should meet the real Mary Ann. By this time, she had found her way into a tidy little room, and on the table in the window were the fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white kid gloves. She took up the fan and a pair of gloves and was just going to leave when her eye fell upon a little bottle. There was no label this time, but nevertheless, she uncorked it. "I know something interesting is sure to happen," she whispered to herself, "so I'll just see what this bottle does." It did so indeed, and much sooner than she expected. Before she had drunk half the bottle, she found her head pressing against the ceiling. She hastily put down the bottle. "That's quite enough. I hope I shan't grow any more." But she went on growing and growing, until at last she had 1 arm out of the window and 1 foot up the chimney. "Now I can do no more, whatever happens. What will become of me?" There were voices outside. "Here, Bill, the master says you're to go down the chimney." "Oh, so Bill's got to come down the chimney, has he?" said Alice quietly to herself. She waited until she heard scratching and scrambling in the chimney above her. Then she gave 1 sharp kick. The first thing she heard was a general chorus, "There goes Bill!" and then confusion of voices. Alice lay quite still, listening. Soon, a shower of little pebbles came rattling in at the window, and some of them hit her in the face. "I'll put a stop to this," she said gently. "You'd better not do that again." The pebbles were turning into little cakes. "If I eat one of these," she thought, "it must make some change in my size." So she swallowed one, and was delighted to find that she began shrinking directly. As soon as she was small enough to get through the door, she ran out of the house, and found quite a crowd of little animals and birds waiting outside. They all made a rush at Alice, but she ran off as hard as she could, and soon found herself safe in a thick wood. "The first thing I've got to do," said Alice to herself, "is to grow to my right size again. And the second thing is to find my way into that lovely garden. I think that will be the best plan." It sounded an excellent plan, no doubt, and very neatly arranged. The only difficulty was that she had not the smallest idea how to set about it. While she was peering anxiously among the trees, a little sharp bark just over her head made her look up. An enormous puppy was looking down at her, with large round eyes and feebly stretching out 1 paw trying to touch her. "Poor little thing," said Alice in a coaxing tone. She tried to whistle to it, but she was terribly frightened all the time at the thought that it might be hungry. Hardly knowing what she did, she picked up a little bit of stick and held it out to the puppy. Immediately, the puppy jumped into the air with a yelp of delight and rushed at the stick. Alice dodged behind a great thistle to keep herself from being run over. The puppy made another rush and tumbled head over heels in its hurry to get hold of it. It was very like having a game with a cart horse and expecting every moment to be trampled under its feet. The puppy began a series of short charges at the stick, running a very little way forwards each time and a long way back, barking hoarsely all the while. At last, it sat down a good way off, panting, with its tongue hanging out and its great eyes half shut. This seemed to Alice a good opportunity for making her escape, so she set off at once and ran till she was quite tired and out of breath, until the puppy's bark sounded faint in the distance. She stopped and leaned against a buttercup to rest herself, and fanned herself with one of the leaves. And yet, what a dear little puppy it was! Oh dear, I'd nearly forgotten that I've got to grow up again. Let me see. How is it to be managed? I suppose I ought to eat or drink something, but the great question is, what? Alice looked all round her at the flowers and the blades of grass, but she did not see anything that looked like the right thing to eat or drink. There was a large mushroom growing near her, about the same height as herself. She looked under it, and on both sides of it, and behind it, and then it occurred to her that she might as well look on the top of it. She stretched herself up on tiptoe and peeped over the edge, and her eyes immediately met those of a large blue caterpillar. Chapter 5. Advice from a Caterpillar. The caterpillar and Alice looked at each other for some time in silence. At last, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and addressed her in a languid, sleepy voice. Who are you? This was not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied, rather shyly, I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least, I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have been changed several times since then. What do you mean by that? Said the caterpillar sternly. Explain yourself. I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, said Alice, because I'm not myself, you see. I can't make it clearer, she added politely, for I can't understand it myself. You, said the caterpillar contemptuously. Who are you? Alice felt a little irritated, but she tried to speak gently. I think you ought to tell me who you are first. Why? Said the caterpillar. This brought them back again to the beginning of the conversation. Alice felt rather annoyed and turned away. Come back, the caterpillar called after her. I've something important to say. Keep your temper, said the caterpillar. Is that all? Said Alice, swallowing down her anger. No, said the caterpillar. Alice thought she might as well wait, as she had nothing else to do. The caterpillar puffed away without speaking for some time. Repeat. You are old, Father William, said the caterpillar. Alice began obediently. You are old, Father William, the young man said, but her voice sounded strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to. When she finished, That is not said right, said the caterpillar. Alice felt very uneasy. I'm afraid I can't remember things as I used. The caterpillar got down off the mushroom and crawled away in the grass, merely remarking as it went, One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter. One side of what? Thought Alice. Of the mushroom, said the caterpillar, just as if she had asked it aloud. Alice broke off a bit of the edge with each hand. Which is which? She wondered. She nibbled a little of the right hand bit, and immediately felt a violent blow underneath her chin. It had struck her foot. Her neck had stretched out like the largest telescope that ever was. Oh, My poor hands, she said softly. She was losing sight of them entirely. After a while, she managed to nibble the other side. Her neck shortened again. At last, she succeeded in bringing herself down to her usual height. Well, I've got back to my right size. The next thing is to get into that beautiful garden. She wandered on through the forest until she came upon a little house. Just as she finished her adjustment, she heard a loud rustling in the trees above. A large pigeon flew down suddenly and began beating her violently with its wings. "Serpent!" screamed the pigeon. "I'm not a serpent," said Alice indignantly. "Let me alone." "Serpent, I say again!" repeated the pigeon. "I've tried the roots of trees, and I've tried banks, and I've tried hedges, but those serpents, there's no pleasing them." "I'm not a serpent," said Alice again. "I'm a little girl." "A likely story indeed," said the pigeon in a tone of the deepest contempt. "I've seen a good many little girls in my time, but never one with such a neck as that." "You're a serpent. There's no use denying it. I suppose you'll be telling me next that you never tasted an egg." "I have tasted eggs, certainly," said Alice truthfully. "But little girls eat eggs quite as much as serpents do, you know." "I don't believe it," said the pigeon. "But if they do, why then they're a kind of serpent, that's all I can say." Alice felt a little puzzled. She was shrinking rapidly again, and soon found herself at her usual height. The pigeon flew off, muttering to itself. Alice looked thoughtfully at the mushroom. One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter. She carefully kept both pieces in her hands. After a while, she noticed a little house in the distance. It was only about 4 feet high. Whoever lives there, thought Alice, it'll never do to come upon them this size. So she nibbled first one side, and then the other, until she had brought herself down to about 9 inches high. For a minute or two, she stood looking at the house, and wondering what to do next. Suddenly, a footman in livery came running out of the wood, with a great letter in his hand. He knocked loudly at the door. Another footman opened it, and between them a long and solemn message was delivered. For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet. And with a deep bow, the first footman departed. Alice went timidly up to the door and knocked. "There's no sort of use in knocking," said a voice from inside, "and that for 2 reasons." The door flew open, and Alice entered. The kitchen was full of smoke. The Duchess was sitting on a 3-legged stool, nursing a baby. The cook was leaning over the fire, stirring a large cauldron. There was certainly too much pepper in that soup. Even Alice sneezed occasionally. The baby sneezed and howled alternately. The only things in the kitchen that did not sneeze were the cook and a large, grinning cat, which sat on the hearth. "Would you tell me, please," said Alice, rather timidly, "why your cat grins like that?" "It's a Cheshire Cat," said the Duchess, "and that's why." "I didn't know that Cheshire Cats always grinned," said Alice. "Most cats do," said the Duchess. "I don't know of any that do," Alice said very politely. "You don't know much," said the Duchess, and she began nursing her child again, singing a sort of lullaby. The baby was sneezing and howling alternately, without a moment's pause. Alice felt very uneasy. "If everybody minded their own business," the Duchess said in a hoarse growl, "the world would go round a deal faster than it does." Alice tried to speak, but the baby gave a sudden, violent sneeze. The Duchess flung the baby at her. "Here, you may nurse it a bit if you like." Alice caught the child and carried it out of the house. The poor little thing was snorting like a steam engine. Alice looked anxiously into its face. Its nose was growing more and more like a snout. "If you're going to turn into a pig, my dear," said Alice softly, "I'll have nothing more to do with you." And she set the little creature down. It trotted away quietly into the wood. Alice was just beginning to wonder which way she ought to go when she noticed a curious appearance in the air. At first, she thought it was only a smile, but gradually a pair of eyes appeared, then the nose, and at last the whole Cheshire Cat. "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. The cat began to fade away until nothing was left but its grin. Alice had often seen a cat without a grin, but never a grin without a cat. It was the most curious thing she had ever seen in her life. "So long as I get somewhere," Alice added as an explanation. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." Alice felt that this could not be denied, so she tried another question. "What sort of people live about here?" "In that direction," the cat said, waving its right paw, "lives a hatter. And in that direction," waving the other paw, "lives a March hare. Visit either you like. They're both mad." "But I don't want to go among mad people," Alice remarked. "Oh, you can't help that," said the cat. "We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad." "How do you know I'm mad?" said Alice. "You must be," said the cat, "or you wouldn't have come here." Alice did not think that proved it at all, but she went on. "And how do you know that you're mad?" "To begin with," said the cat, "a dog's not mad. You grant that?" "I suppose so," said Alice. "Well then," the cat went on, "you see, a dog growls when it's angry and wags its tail when it's pleased. Now I growl when I'm pleased and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad." "I call it purring, not growling," said Alice. "Call it what you like," said the cat. "Do you play croquet with the Queen today?" "I should like it very much," said Alice, "but I haven't been invited yet." "You'll see me there," said the cat, and the cat vanished again. This time it disappeared quite slowly, beginning with the end of the tail and ending with the grin, which remained some time after the rest of it had gone. "Well, I've often seen a cat without a grin," thought Alice, "but a grin without a cat?" Soon after this, she saw the Queen and King of Hearts. The king looked at the cat's head with great curiosity. The queen turned crimson with fury. "Off with its head!" she shouted. Alice felt rather anxious, but the cat only grinned. The executioner, the king, and the queen argued for some time. At last, they all went away. When Alice looked again, the cat had disappeared entirely. And so the forest grows quiet once more. The cottage fades behind her. The mushroom stands still in the night air. And somewhere in the distance, a Cheshire smile lingers. Alice is changed again, grown, shrunk, questioned who she is, and yet the path continues. Wonderland is not a place of answers, but of curious turns, unexpected doors, and thoughts that stretch like telescopes. Perhaps, like Alice, you have wandered through strange questions tonight, through voices that drift like smoke in a quiet kitchen, through smiles that remain even when everything else disappears. Now, let the forest settle. Let the questions grow softer. Let your thoughts become light. Your breathing calm. Your shoulders heavy. The journey is not over. It simply pauses until the next curious chapter. When you are ready, we will continue deeper into Wonderland. Until then, rest gently, drift slowly, and follow the quiet glow of Aurora Sounds.